Hey Tarot fans, I plan to release a Q&A video on New Year's Eve. So if you have a burning question that you want to know, leave a comment below with 2020 Q&A and that question may feature in the video. So if you're interested, leave a comment. Hello Tarot fans, welcome to another edition of Blue Sicx Tarot. I'm your fantastic host Blue Sicx. Thank you very much for watching. And we did it! I mean, by we I mean the royal we. You know, I mean, that's what you kind of use the royal toilets for. The royal toilets for the royal we. Never mind. Anyway, did it! Finally managed to actually do 4 reviews in the month and managed to squeeze in the last 3 reviews in a week and a bit. So hey, mission accomplished. Oh, okay, it's not that big a deal. But anyway, I think it's a big deal because I'm usually quite lazy and very bad with reviews. But anyway, enough self-deprecation. Time to roll on that intro for the next review. Today we are looking at one of my most favourite and most well used oracle decks, the Sacred Traveller. Now I was really drawn to this during my class. So before the whole bad air breathing stuff kind of happened, I used to go to went to tarot class, and basically we would kind of do more advanced stuff using tarot, kind of basically like one of the things we'd do, we'd compare tarot of oracle and kind of what, you know, if you pick up an oracle card, what tarot does that remind you of, that sort of thing. So this was one of the decks used and fell in love with it, and this is one of my favourite decks, most well used oracle decks. So first off, we're going to do the normal thing of checking its size. So that's 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters by 4 inches and 10 centimeters. Now this is done by Hay House because I think most of the oracles I have are Hay House, and most of the tarot I have are Scarabeo. So this is kind of, once again, this is a slightly thicker box than the Goddess, but not as thick as the Divine Feminine. And so once again, on the back you have some of the cards and details there. I'll let you pause for a second, so I can have a proper read through for that later. So take a look at the box. Nice slides out quite nice and easily. So first off, the cards themselves. I'll just put that. Oh, it's gone a bit blurry. First off, sorry, I said the cards, I meant the book. So once again, standard style of book, not particularly thick. And the prints themselves, as you go in, small black and white picture with basically a 1-page descriptor, which is always handy. So it doesn't necessarily go into as fine a detail in regards comparatively to the Divine Feminine, but obviously with the Divine Feminine it was also giving you a brief history of the person that the card was referencing. And the other thing you'd also notice on the back is a very kind of cool kind of pattern. Now this would be the kind of, I would kind of connect it with the sort of designs you'd see in kind of India and that sort of genre of spiritualism. And there's a very nice shade of purple. The cards aren't particularly thick, but they are still a bit, they're not thick cards, but they're a bit tactile, so these are a little tricky to shuffle and spread, a little blocky, but not as bad as some other decks can be. So we're going to take a look at some of the cards themselves. So these are basically, as I said, these are the cards I just picked out because I like the look of them. As I said, the reason I've reviewed so few oracle decks because I find them tricky to review. So first off, we've got the Mystic Healer. And at the bottom it says healing energy flows through you. So the messages are always quite nice. The artwork is consistent, so it's the same artist throughout the deck. which I know some people do prefer. I think in the comments to the Goddess or Goddess Guidance, some people aren't fans of inconsistent artists. But then the only other ones I've come across so far that have that are the Unicorn Oracle. But yeah, so the artwork has a nice kind of storybook look to them. Sort of things you'd see, sort of things I'd have in kids' books back in the late 80s, early 90s. And then we have a look on Great Adventure, Take a Risk, Venture Forward. And I like the fact it's like a nice Viking longboat. Now, through this deck, it covers different sort of areas. So it's not all necessarily based in one particular country or area. So we've got like a Viking longboat here, and one of the other cards is a Japanese woman in traditional attire, I think with the pagoda behind her and stuff like that. So it covers different continents. It's not all European centric. Like this one, for example, Navigate by the Stars, Follow Your Bliss. So actually this has more of a Middle Eastern sort of look to them. Unfortunately my geography is very bad, so my apologies if I may mention wrong regions. That is not my intent, but I was never good at geography. But I also like this because it has a nice kind of, once again, storybook element to it. And you do have this feeling that he is just, I mean, probably a shepherd, obviously with the crook there. But it doesn't look like a very practical crook. But yeah, I like the patterns with the, I like the design of the night sky, the cloud layers, the stars, everything with that one looks really whimsical. I think it's a good way to say this. So then we've got this one, in the flow, everything is smooth sailing, which I think is also a song by Queens of the Stone Age. Probably love that song. Yeah, I like this one. So this one has a kind of Christmas sort of look to it, with the woman in white and red there on a flying sleigh. So who knows? That could be Mrs. Claus, but then it might not be. But the houses and the buildings at the bottom there. So, and like behind them there, you've kind of got like sort of thing you'd see in the style of building you may see in either Russia or those sort of places. That's what that makes me think of, at least. As I said, I'm not particularly well travelled. So view from above. So it says, get the big picture. Now I've kept this one in here because it's not necessarily as whimsical as the others, but it does show a side to where some of the messages take you. So far we've seen follow your dreams, follow what makes you happy, go on your adventure, whilst this one just says sit back and take a look at everything, because, you know, look in the long term, not the short term. And once again, the hot air balloons do just look very nice. And the buildings they're looking upon also look really lovely. Voyage of the Heart. Now this, so at the bottom we've got love flows through you and to you. Now this one I kept in because it makes me, this actually made me think of Nature's Whispers, that oracle deck, in the fact that everything, that the surroundings, the water, the sea, the sky is all this person. And that was kind of very reminiscent of that deck, which I still haven't used, but it is a kind of wondrous sort of look to it. So next we have Far Away Places. So now we have kind of more like Chinese style boats there. Get ready for new horizons. Now with this, it has that. I mean, to be fair, that looks. Sorry, from the angle I'm looking at that kind of looks like an oil drum. But that's probably not particularly accurate to the area. But yes, I like this as well, because you can kind of have the nice. You can kind of feel the light, gentle breeze and stuff like that, and you can kind of like smell the food. And it's also kind of bit of it has a bit of like historical note, because the areas of China was very interesting. It was a very good trade route, and I believe there was like one river that was a great trade route for a whole bunch of places. So I think that's pretty cool. So narrow path, tread thoughtfully. Now, I'm not a fan of heights, but I do love a good view. And this, for me, has that kind of other decks, Oracle decks, would make this a very bleak sort of picture. There would be fear of stepping incorrectly. Rather, instead of saying, "Hey, be careful," it would be a "Be careful or else" sort of feel to it. But this just feels just as enchanting as everything else through the deck, but it's not necessarily threatening. But yeah, but then this one I kept in because one, artwork looks amazing, and two, it's a positive way to express it's a positive way to express a warning. So we've got begin anew, take your first steps. Take your first step. And so we've got like a farmer and his family. Is that it? Yeah, so it's got two people there. So I couldn't tell if that was a hat. So it's got, you assume it's either the farmer or like the eldest son. It's still quite nice. He's going off to see the world. Well, he's going off on his own journey. To be fair, probably a son when you think about it, I guess. Eldest son's leaving, and you can see his path wind off into the distance, but not too far in the distance. So there is that sense of, I know this will get me this far, but I don't know where it leads beyond that. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at that. And then you've got fellow travellers. Support is all around you. And once again, I chose you. I mean, this could be the same man from the previous card. It probably isn't. No, it's not. But yeah, this one I kept in because it's really just showing off the artwork. Once again, unfortunately, the lighting here doesn't necessarily show how well the artwork is in this. But you've got a lovely rainbow, a colourful peacock, a white peacock, which I'm not sure is a real thing, but if it is, I definitely want to see one. Probably isn't. Great mountains, grass verges, Sawmore path. And I also like the idea that, judging by the name of the card, it's not necessarily saying another human is there to support you. It feels like everything around you is there to support you, not just another traveller, or at least the travellers you see them. And then you've got a simple thing of answer the call, the time is now. Open that door and head into the unknown. Yes, as I said, there's no real kind of time era really with this. So this one has that kind of more, I don't know, 15th century style of dress. You know, stuff that you'd have seen Robin Hood or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But just the overall kind of timing and feeling of it feels good. This is a lovely deck. It is definitely one I'd recommend for people. If you do want, oh, there you go. So if you do want a deck that is that's very soft. Now, when I do readings for people who've not necessarily had a card reading before, I tend to pick a deck that's a little easier to see, where the images aren't as distressing. So, and I'd say the same for this. This is probably one of the softer style of Oracle decks you may come across, where the images aren't necessarily overwhelming, but they're simple, but they're beautiful in their simplicity. Right, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Also leave a comment below, and you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at Sicx Tarot. And I will catch you on the flip side.